let's just start off. Introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, how old you are, where you're from, and what it is that you do.
My name's Kenny Tortorici. I live in Keller, Texas. Here in a month, I turned 55. I own my own plumbing and general contracting business. Been in business almost 20 years now, and enjoy playing some golf every once in a while.
Nothing like a good old golf to escape every once in a while, right?
That's right.
I love it, man. And if you can remind me, how many weeks back specifically did you join this initial program? Do you know how many weeks it's been?
I'm at 10 weeks this week.
Okay, so 10 weeks in, and can you just share, why was it that you joined? What was life like back for you then? What problems were you facing? And how did you feel overall?
I was just feeling run down, wasn't hitting on all cylinders, like I said in our interview, initial talk. I wasn't the person I knew I could be and that I used to be. I was just feeling run down, beat up a little bit, procrastinating a lot more often. Just didn't have the drive that I knew was in me that I've had before, and it just wasn't there. I knew I needed to figure something out. It was deeper than just the surface stuff, and that's what decided me to start looking into a program.
You kind of expand on, I know you said you were feeling run down a little bit. You said you're procrastinating and not having that drive. Can you please expand on that in terms of, let's start with feeling run down. How is feeling run down showing up for you on the day to day, and like how bad did it get? And specifically, what toll did it take on your life personally and professionally to be operating in that state that you were in?
What it did for me was it just didn't let me get out and do the work I needed to do to run a business. I would put off calls or put off work opportunities just because I didn't feel like going to do it. Just felt, do I really want to? And then I would always find an excuse not to go to do something, or I would put something off for a day or two, or make up excuses that I couldn't get there to do work. And it was taking a toll on me, mentally, because I know that's not me. Financially also, because I'm losing business. And then, like I said, on the personal side, I just knew it was starting to spiral, where the abyss of going into the unknown and just getting deeper into the couch, so to speak, and not being the outgoing person that I know I am, not being ahead of the curve, not doing the things that we need to do to run a successful business.
I see. So you in a sense, even with being in business as long as you have, you started to see patterns from feeling, when you felt the way that you felt, run down, and that was attributing to the procrastination, which then you saw, maybe opportunities of, hey, more business can come in, but you just didn't feel up to taking more business on. Correct. Because of the state that you were in.
Exactly. I didn't feel like to grow the business. And right at that point, again, it was just the extra diligence you have to do to keep things going wasn't there. The biggest feeling that I had that really got to me once I put it into perspective was the part about becoming complacent with what I was doing. Once that gotten really sunk in and what I was doing, it was time to make the changes.
And I know you mentioned you used the kind of the deeper in the couch in terms of from personal. So we know that it was kind of really affecting the business, maybe some opportunities that come into play. When you shift over to personal, how was this being run down, feeling low on energy, and being the state you were? How was that impacting your personal life?
I wasn't as available for my family, for my wife and kids and grandkids. Just wouldn't want to go do some things, even just a simple thing like going for a walk to the park. I'm like, no, I need to do this, or I need to look on the computer for this, which let me stay in my office, sit in a chair, and not do anything. And so it did affect my time with the family, my attitude towards it. Again, just it wasn't that I was absent or anything, but I was not involved.
I get it. So it's almost like you were there, but not really there. Like you said, you're right there to a degree, but not involved. You just your space of your frame of mind was just either, hey, I'm going to stay in this point right now. I don't have enough left to really give and be more available, go on a walk, do these things that would be enjoyable.
Correct.
Knowing that this was going on for you, and you joined about 10 weeks or so back,
Mm-hmm.
What I'm curious to know is what has life been like for you over these past couple of months or past 10 weeks or so? Like, what has your experience been working amongst this within the program, and what has it meant to you and for you?
It's turned me around. It really has. It was really the first time that I sought out some coaching like this. I've been involved in sports all my life, and I understood it. You know, you need a good coach to get better when you're trying to get better at something. Like I said, what brought me to the program was reading through it, doing research on it, and understanding, making the step for myself. This is bigger than what you can figure out this time. You know, let's find something that's gonna fit the way you do, with what you know and the way you feel. And so what it did is it brought me into it because a couple factors. One, it wasn't a all or none type deal. And do all this stuff or else, you know, nothing's going to happen. And what it did for me is it put a little bit of discipline back in where I was lacking it. Like we talked about at the beginning, you know, each baby step was just that, a baby step. You know, one little victory at a time. It's a lifestyle change. It's not just a quick fix. And what that did is just it kept building the blocks on top of one another, on top of one another. And now, like I said, 10 weeks into it, and I'm, you know, striving. I've hit, you know, two of the goals that I was wanting to get in 12 weeks. I hit them at 9 weeks just because it just compounded that way.
Knowing that, and knowing that you kind of built on top of week after week, things built, and you were willing to put in that effort and be consistent. And you obviously had got back that discipline in a sense. What specific results have you gotten from being in here within just these past 10 weeks?
Well, I hit my goal of dropping the first 20 pounds. I'm actually over that already. So as of this morning, I'm down 25. So yeah,
Yes.
that the energy level and the drive factor of it, that's probably the biggest thing that I'm happy with and pleased with, because I want to get out there again and do the stuff and do what I do because I enjoy it. You know, there's no more, you know, just sitting back and not doing it. It's putting me back into hitting on all 12 cylinders, like, you know, we talked about at the beginning of it. I'm no longer the Hugo. I'm back to being a Ferrari.
There we go. You're the Ferrari going on all 12.
That's right.
And what I want to know is, now that you're operating on all 12 cylinders and that energy's back, you said you're doing more things, or getting out there more. Can you walk me through, now that you have the energy that you have, what is different in your world? Like, what specifically is different?
I've made the time for myself again, picked up my golf habit again. You enjoy it because it got to the point where people and friends would ask me, you know, what do I do for fun? And you know, it was always, well, I work. Well, what do you do for work? I said, well, I work there too, you know. And I've been able to change that and take the time away and specific and go, you know, maybe play some golf, or hit the balls, or take the grandkids and go to the park, or do something, go for a walk, do some exercises.
I love it, man. So you're able to be more, especially in not only in your hobbies, right? Now you're no longer like before. You didn't have the energy to have the fun that you wanted to have. It was just all about work. And then now you're able to get those hobbies in, like golf, and you're getting more done in terms of work or business, it sounds like. And what I want to know is how, in terms of before, I remember when we first spoke, kind of how we realized, came together and realized some of the things in terms of focus that wasn't as on par as you wanted to be, and be as productive in business. So how has your energy impacted your productivity and just business overall?
Very easy. The mundane stuff that you have to do being the owner, you know, you get the parade, but then you also have to clean up after the parade. So all those little things that, you know, being procrastinated and being pushed off are getting done. The things to make it a little more efficient, more organized, all that kind of stuff for me is stuff that I'm able to get done again and be productive about it. So that I see that as a big deal with the energy side. And it's not only just the energy side, it's the mindset also, because it's not a beat up anymore, because I know in the long run, this is the right thing. Here's the right thing to do. So it's the right thing to do, period. It's no longer, well, I have to do this because I'm doing this because it is right. And that mindset, that change, and just, picking up the little pieces has made tremendous strides.
Wonderful, man. And once you created these results for yourself, what else changed for you? What else was different?
I would say my outlook on things like that, being more positive again. Complacency is out the window again. Finally, that's never been me. I've always been one, for the next step. Okay, let's keep going. And then also the factor of just the drive to be better, to understand it's a full lifestyle change, to be healthier, to both body, spirit, and mind, to take advantage of it and to keep that in the forefront. No longer put it in the back of your head as a byproduct, and just keep focus on it.
Yeah, so having that drive, and that was one of the main focuses for you when we first spoke, was like, hey, just getting that drive back, because you're already successful in your line of work, you're doing those things, but you said that, hey, I'm not the guy that's just gonna kind of almost stand on the sidelines and be complacent, right? And you wanted that drive. So how has that drive specifically come back to you? Where have you noticed that drive show up the most where it wasn't before?
In doing things that for myself, and then also in going after additional work projects. No longer the fear of getting the project is not there anymore. I don't have that doubt that being complacent side of it. Well, I'm okay at this level of busyness. Let's not worry about something else right now. Let's not worry about what 6 months is going to bring. We'll just stay where we are now. That's where that drive has come back in, to say, okay, let's go after this work, and for the 6 months, and then we can plan now.
I see. So yeah, and I remember specifically it was a unique fear, which is understandable. You're not the only one that's had this before, but the state that you were in before, when you felt run down, I remember you sharing, hey, things are going really well in business, but I'm almost afraid, almost fearful of taking on, making it more successful, because I'm not sure if I can handle it with the amount of energy I have. Am I going to be able to give it all, or the drive? And now it sounds like, to a degree, that's come back.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome, my man. Awesome. And what I want to know is, because I know you maybe you haven't experienced certain things in the past before, but you said, I was searching for something different, not a quick fix, something that was going to just shift, where you were. So what I'm curious to know is, how has this been different from anything that you've ever experienced before?
Well, actually, this is really the first time that I've actually sought out a true coach in this area of my life, and doing something like that, very particular. I want to make sure someone who's going to teach me needs to know what they're talking about. I've been around for a little while. I've done all the stuff. I've done the research. I've had done the other ups and downs and programs and diets and things like that, and exercises, and coached 5 soccer teams as the kids were growing up. So I've been in conditioning, and I knew all that stuff. So for me, it was finding the right information, the right program that's going to provide me, not only the data to show me what's true, but also someone that I could be able to relate to and talk to, and that they understand what we're coming from, and they understand the information that they're providing. They're not just reading it from a book and then passing it on. It's been through there. I'm a firm believer in, there are times where you learn from the fire, and there's times you learn from the heat. And this is one of those times where I know I want someone that's been there, someone that's got some experience with dealing with these things, to give me the correct information. Opening myself up to something, and I wanted to make sure it was going to be with someone who was, true, knowledgeable, and really wanted to be a coach like this.
I hear you. So you wanted to make sure that what you were doing was not just theory and concept, that it was actually proven by experience, and also, being overall legit, so that you can take that, trust it, and go on and explore that journey on your own to get to where you are now.
Oh, yes, and exactly that. In fact, that's what, when we talked about at the beginning, the research I did on finding other people like this, when we did the interviews, the ones you've done in the past like this, and talking to them, and actually doing some research on those guys, via public information type of stuff, to see who they were and who they are, and what kind of realms that you've dealt with. And then that's kind of why you brought me into it, and started talking about it.
Yeah. So you saw similarities in those past successful clients that have experienced this. You saw somewhat part of their story resonated to a sense
Yes.
where you said, okay, there's something here that this seems and aligned with what I want to do.
Yes, exactly. You said it just perfect like that. There was several other gentlemen I can remember, watching their videos like this and saying, yeah, that's some of the stuff that I was dealing with, that I'm going through right now. That's something that, yeah, I just thought about that, and it just opened up as I got a little more into it, and actually the guys started talking about it. Helped me to get over my little hump of being independent, to actually to look for someone and talk to someone, and it actually helped to do that, and then to reach out and make contact.
I was going to say, so for you, it sounds to me like part of the maybe the challenge may have been, hey, I can do this on my own, even though you kind of were considering, hey, maybe I don't want to do this on my own, but almost in a sense that you've done it so long for on your own. Why should this be any different? Was there a resistance to finding something, someone, or anything to help you? Because I know sometimes. For me, and I've spoken with other guys too, that pride can step in the way, those kind of things. I got this. So did you ever experience that?
Absolutely. And that was the, going into this, even just starting to even look. And I remember sitting there on the computer and scrolling through and doing the research. It's like, why are you doing this? You know what the hell you need to do. Just get off your ass and do it. It was more than just that, because, I can get up and go for a walk, but it didn't change everything. It was just one thing at a time. Doing the research on it and seeing what the whole program was about was more than just being a 2-week deal, 14-day change your life deal. And seeing this on how the program was to be a commitment for you to do that, and for you to make the commitment to yourself to go through the program. Those kinds of things. That's what put me over it, because I knew what I was going through and what I was doing, feeling, and was more than just what normally I've been able to get myself over, in a day or two or something like that. And it was time I wanted to make the switch, the complete turnover, and start being better for myself.
Even though there was that resistance there, as you started doing that research, there, based on those guys' stories and knowing that things were piling up a little bit more than maybe you thought that you could take on at the moment, that was the one thing that got you over the hump to say, okay, maybe this is something different, that I'm willing to be open to a coach for maybe the first time.
Right. Yeah.
For you, even though all of this has come to where it is now and things are better for you, what I want to know is, what was your biggest worry or concern about joining within this program?
Probably the biggest concern was what we ran into, was it week 8, week 9, when we talked about it, is seeing the results, and you're on that wheel and it's spinning and it's in motion, and then to let off the gas for it. I know myself, and things get rolling, going good, and then you just kind of leave the plate spinning. You keep forgetting you have to go spin the stick and keep it going. That was a concern, to make sure that I stayed on that and stayed on the program, and stayed 100% committed to it through the whole program.
Got it. So the main concern was, hey, you knew yourself. So basically for you, it was like, hey, am I going to, even when I get through certain weeks here and, I may experience some results, am I going to stick with it? Am I going to stick with it? Am I going to be going back and be able to spin that plate, or am I going to fall off? Is that what you'd say?
Yeah, I wouldn't say like it's falling off, but it's just to keep it at full throttle the whole time. Stay committed to it, and 100% committed to it, not 85% committed to it, for the whole thing, the whole program side of it. That's because again, you see victories, you take the baby steps, and those baby steps start adding up to big steps, and now you've gone through a journey, and you think it's just going to carry on. Then you got to remember to keep on it and keep focus on it to keep it moving the right way.
Right. You can't just do it for a little bit and then stop.
Exactly.
It's kind of like any area of life. If you just stopped all of a sudden, you got to keep pushing to some degree, which you've done up to this point.
Right.
And knowing that kind of it came back to you in regards to, hey, I'm not, am I going to go continue full throttle? And of course you have. What I want to know is, what were you really skeptical about when you made the decision to start?
Originally would be the information, the data. The data's out there, and you can always find whatever you want to find and whatever you want to tell somebody that they want to hear. And so there's that part of it, and then also just how much true emotion or true feelings and true personalities would be involved in going through it. Is everybody going to kind of be open and honest with the program? The paperwork and the data, shows one thing, but do the people reflect that? Going into something new, like I said, for me, brand new in this area, that's probably where my biggest, skepticism was, until you get to know who you're dealing with and who you're talking to and who the people are. As you start understanding who they are, what they do, it just builds that confidence in it.
So, and knowing that it was the data, right? Knowing, is this just, something just spouted out information that tells me what I want to hear, but it sounds like everything else? And then also, is there going to be some relatability? Knowing that those were the concerns or skepticisms, what did we do, or just in general in the program, to alleviate your skepticism entirely?
Well, you specifically proved the data that it's more than just data. We had the conversations up front, and you knew where I was coming from with it, and you showed me exactly what I was looking for with that. You've got the experience, you've got the information, you understand the information. It shows that, hey, there's like mind thinking there, and that makes the relationship and makes it relatable to, at least to me. And I think that helps when it brings it, because the program you provide is true, and it's a true reflection of you, the true reflection of the amount of work that you put into it, and it shows the work that you put into it. Once you put the work into the program and make the commitment to it, that it works.
Yep. Works 100% of the time for 100% of the people that followed 100% of the way through, right?
Exactly.
And what would you say to anyone? Let's say there's a guy like you who is all of a sudden stumbled upon whatever it is you stumbled upon, and now he's watching these videos. Maybe he's skimming through them, and he comes across yours. And now he's at this point in time, and he's considering filling out the form exactly like you did, but he's the same way. Is this going to be regurgitated information that I already know? Or, is this going to be relatable? Will this, these people understand me? Will this guy get me? Whatever's going through their head. What would you say to that guy right now who is really on the fence of even reaching out for support? What would you say to him?
I would tell them, one is to be honest and truthful with yourself. Don't just put the answers that you think Logan wants to hear for a questionnaire. Take the time to search yourself and answer those questions truthfully, honestly, and in depth. The second thing is, don't put off those feelings that you're searching for something. There's a reason you are. The reason might not be evident yet, or you may know the reason. But if you're looking for something like this, or a program for a coachable, something to understand the high level you're used to functioning at, and the drive that you have, the person you are, your emotions, and the person you are is trying to tell you something. It's bigger than you right now. I'm not saying that it's going to stay there, but right now there's a bigger issue that's at hand that you need a hand for, and to be open and honest to yourself. And then for your questionnaire, same thing, be open and honest about that part of it. Don't just give it the Reader's Digest version. Look and see why, because as you start answering those questions, like we talked about it, and I think it was the second day or the second or third conversation we had, some of those questions that you asked of why I wanted to be in the program brought a whole kinds of things to light. And it just, once you bring it out in the open, you know what to fix when it's there. If you don't know it's there yet, you don't know how to fix it or how to get to it. And I think that's what it does, is it opens it up. So take the time to open up to yourself, and then answer those questions truthfully, and then hang on for the fun ride.